Party and is set to become the next British Prime Minister. A short while ago, she was announced as the winner of a competitive race against party mate and former Finance Minister Rishi Sunak. Truss will move into Downing Street tomorrow.
I, Sir Graham Brady, the returning officer for the Conservative and Unionist Party leadership election, declare that the total number of eligible voters was 172,437. The turnout in the election was 82.6%. The total number of votes rejected was 654. The total number of valid votes given to each candidate was as follows. Rishi Sunak, 60,399. Liz Truss, 81,326. Therefore, I give notice that Liz Truss is elected as the leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party. We'll come up on stage.
Well, for more on this story, we're going to cross now to our London correspondent, Laura Macon-Isherwood. She's been following proceedings. A very good afternoon, Laura. Thanks very much for joining us. So, of course, the Conservative Party have made their choice in terms of a new leader, but how are the British public likely to take it?
Well, that's a very good question because, of course, at the moment, many of the British population are concerned about the cost of living crisis that we're going through at the moment. And many of the questions that may be asked around this leadership will be how Liz Truss decides to act and maybe if the government, her government, will intervene and offer up more packages of assistance to those that are struggling to pay their energy bills and even put food on the table. There has, of course, been this week's worth of debate taking place between Liz Truss, the former Foreign Secretary, now leader of the Conservative Party and the next Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and Rishi Sunak, the former Chancellor of the Exchequer. He has criticised Liz Truss's plans. She wants a low-tax economy, she says, and she believes that that will help the economy grow. However, Rishi Sunak has said that that's simply not the case, and actually it could push the UK towards a recession. On stage just a few moments ago, she said that she will deliver on energy crisis, she will deliver on bills and on energy supply as well, ensuring that the UK can have energy security overall. But there's not a lot of detail about exactly what she's set to announce. And of course, over the next few weeks, that's what we're hoping to hear.
So, Laura, just tell us the technicalities. She's now the head of the Conservative Party. We can't yet call her Prime Minister. What needs to happen next?
Well, she's just given that speech on stage, just a stone's throw from where I'm standing right now. The next step for her will be to head to Balmoral in Scotland. That's where Her Majesty the Queen is at the moment. She's been spending her summer there. She'll go there with Boris Johnson. He'll go in first, where he'll effectively hand over the reins to Liz Truss, but it is Her Majesty the Queen that can officially allow the next government to be formed. So once those two MPs have headed up to Scotland, they will then return back to London. Liz Truss will then be expected to make a speech on the steps of 10 Downing Street, that famous black door that's known the world over. And then she can get about forming her next cabinet, the government that she will be working with, and then the policies that she wants to bring forward to Parliament behind me.
It's quite interesting. Most people believe that Boris Johnson was sort of pushed to resign on the 7th of July. And yet when, the Conservative Party members were saying goodbye to him, or at least appreciating him, he got quite a considerable round of applause. What did you read into that?
Well, yeah, there's been this big question over the last few weeks as to whether or not he might have been pushed too early in the eyes of a lot of Conservative Party members. There's been some polling done that suggested that some might have been regretting that decision to try and get him out of 10 Downing Street, particularly considering the cost of living crisis that we're going through and, of course, the relationship that Boris Johnson had with President Zelensky in Ukraine. There is a lot for the next Prime Minister to deal with, of course, that energy crisis, the ongoing war in Ukraine as well, and, of course, relations with Russia. That is a big issue that the next Prime Minister will have to contend with. And a lot will be placed on Liz Truss and the way that she wants to handle this. We know that she wants to take a harder line on President Putin and the Kremlin. So there are a lot of questions in flux at the moment, and there could be effectively a new era of British politics on the horizon.
And Jen, just one last thing. Do remind us of when the next general election in the UK is, where the British people will choose the party that they want to govern.
Well, it's in 2 years' time. Currently, that's the timetable anyway, and that is when everyone in the United Kingdom will be allowed to vote for which party they want to be leading the United Kingdom overall. But we've had a bit of a turbulent time here in the United Kingdom. Of course, we've had David Cameron, then Theresa May. She was kicked out for Boris Johnson. A general election got Boris Johnson into number 10. He's now left, and we've got another Prime Minister in Liz Truss. So it's been a lot of change, a lot of turmoil effectively in Westminster and consequently in the country through the COVID-19 pandemic, also post-Brexit. And so it's felt a little bit like there's not really been a steady ship guiding the United Kingdom. Now, as you say, it's another 2 years until that election is scheduled, but there could be the potential for Liz Truss to decide to call a snap election to see if she can get a bigger mandate from the public for her to remain in post for another 4 years. That will be up to her and her team, of course, and it's not clear yet what she wants to do.
Laura, thank you very much for giving us those insights there. Laura Makin Isherwood reporting there for us in London.